You're now experiencing the Gretna Bill Show.
Hey, Ted King, welcome to the Gretna Bill Show, man.
Love it. Thanks for having me.
And Laura, welcome to you as well.
Thank you.
Cool. So we're here at unPAved again, and we're talking to Ted King. We're going to talk to Laura too, and we're going to talk a little bit about a lot of stuff that Ted's doing. But first of all, just to frame this whole thing, we were talking about it earlier, Ted. A little bit of your resume, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Surely. Raced a 10-year professional cycling career, got into cycling in college. In fact, I think once upon a time I came down to Louisville and raced Bucknell. So that would have been back in about 2003. Started racing professionally in 2006. Did two Giri d'Italia, two Tour de France, raced Spring Classics a whole bunch, raced for Peter Sagan, so that was a good program. I ended up racing a lot of races that Peter raced, so Tour California, Spring Classics, Tour de Suisse, so on and so forth.
That was with Leaky Gas, right? Didn't he win
sir.
that? Didn't Sagan win the Tour California one year?
Interesting story. He won it in 2015, which is my first year that I wasn't racing with him. So that was my final Tour California. He and I won a lot of races together, and he continued to win without me. So I think he's got some talent.
I think so.
Decent amount.
Cool. So you're here at unPAved. You're going to race tomorrow, the 120.
Yes, sir.
And is this your first unPAved?
This is my first unPAved. I am unPAved.
All right. And you came down from your home, which is now...
We are living in Richmond, Vermont, a beautiful little town outside of Burlington, about a stunning 7-hour drive, which is about 2 hours more than I expected. But is exactly what Google Maps said, so I was just naive in what it was.
Cool. So you're expecting 120 miles of some fight out with last year's winner, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and I also looked on your resume, did you not win the 2018 Dirty Kanza, or did I misread that?
I did win Dirty Kanza in 2018. I also won it in 2016. I'm embracing this gravel thing. It's been a whole lot of fun. I won Steamboat this year, big gravel race out in Colorado. We see more and more European-based professional cycling influence, which is so far just continuing to boost the sport. It's a whole lot of gravel. It's a blast.
So how is your training compared to when you were a professional racer in the Tour de France, the Giro d'Italia, etc.?
It's night and day. It's that was very controlled, disciplined, live by a training log, work, be in dialogue with your coach nonstop. Whereas now, I certainly don't have a coach. I coach other people. I coach 6 other athletes all over across the country. And it's funny because I'm aware of the training that I'm giving them, and I think every once in a while, man, I should probably do that. But I don't train with any regimen. I know macro cycles. I know maybe what I'm missing, what I haven't done in a while. Maybe I haven't done some hard, long efforts. So I think, okay, maybe sometime in the next few days I'll do some long, hard efforts. Huge benefit of living in Vermont is the variability of terrain that we have. So, a lot of punchy climbs, a lot of sustained climbs. That's something that really works to our benefit. Not much traffic, virtually no traffic, which is incredible. And also just staying varied. Not every day is 70 and sunny. So it means there's days that I'll be in the gym. There's days that in the winter when we go skiing and hike around in the snow, and it's really cool variability.
Yeah, it makes training exciting. We were just talking about that earlier too. You were in California for a while. You met Laura there, and if you're in San Diego, it's like you feel like you got to train all the time, 24/7. But because of the seasonality of living in New England or the Mid-Atlantic as we are in now, it kind of breaks that up and kind of gives you some segments.
100%. Yeah, we would call them the Christmas stars of Arizona. You go down to Arizona and southern climates and seek out good weather, and there are people who are just absolutely flying by December and January, and you think, man, shoot, why am I lacking training so much? And they're burned out by March. So, yeah, huge benefit in staying varied and terrain and what we do. I mean,
Awesome.
Laura's
it
a great.
It keeps it going too when you've been doing it as long as we have, or you have. I mean, I'm just
Yeah.
So, how does a 120-mile gravel race compare to a 120-mile road race in terms of effort, time, preparation, etc.?
I think because each race is so different. So a land run is different than Dirty Kansas, is different than unPAved, is different than rooted Vermont. When I raced Belgian Waffle Ride this spring, that was about a 130-ish mile race. Pete Stetna and young man who's on Action Hagens Berman, whose name is failing me right now. Those two were storming, and I was right there with them right up to the final climb, and they went off and did their world tour thing. The effort at the end of that was like a spring classic. You were on the gas, averaging 325 watts for 6 hours. That is comparable to like a spring classic, an Ardennes classic. Grand tours and multi-day races end up having quite a bit more rhythm to them. It's like a breakaway is going to go, the breakaway is going to get caught, you're going to reel it in. So there's a script to how bike races go. There's less script in a gravel race. We're seeing we're seeing more and more influence from teams, and I think that can be at a detriment to gravel. I'm not going to work. I'm not going to pull back that breakaway because I have a teammate up the road. And you're like, that sucks. That's deleterious to the spirit of gravel. But so far we're not seeing a ton of that. So I'm optimistic that the correct spirit of gravel will prevail.
Yeah, like for example, there was that controversy over aero bars or not aero bars. Now, obviously here you can't do that because of the gravelly steep downhills. But like, I guess that was an issue at Kansas, or did you get any of that?
I have used gravel. I've used aero bars on a gravel bike. I was embarrassed to use them on a gravel bike. I encourage every race promoter to put it in their bylaws to say no aero bars, but it is 100% to an advantage. So it's a hard, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
I would think that certainly race team tactics are less influential in a gravel race, which is kind of nice. It's more of an individual kind of a thing, like more of a mountain bike kind of a thing.
In general, that is the case, and that's how it should be. You see, often the strongest will survive, and so that's what's wonderful about gravel. You have X number of 100 people, X thousand people start, and within the first 15, 20 minutes, hour, like you're with your people, and you're with the skill set or physiological capability of people that you're supposed to be with.
Yeah, man.
With teams that get more and more stacked, that's going to be trouble at the pointy end of the race when you have 6 people and 3 on one team. And then they can start throwing bombs and playing the tactic game.
We'll see, right?
We will see.
That's kind of the excitement. So another thing we were talking about earlier was I'm kind of playing around with ketosis. I always try to, getting older, I try to keep my weight down. And I do much better when I actually get into ketosis, or that adaptive state, which allows me to, process proteins more than carbs. And so we were talking about this, and so this is your company, right, Ted?
Yes, sir.
And
co-founded this company, unTapped, in 2013 while I was still racing a bike. I was known as the pro cyclist on the world tour who had a strange obsession with maple syrup, and people would hand me maple syrup bottles at races, at the spring classics, at tours, and say, here you go, that's a generous gift. It's not inexpensive, and it's not an easy thing to cart maple syrup across the Atlantic. It took a pretty basic search to figure out that maple syrup has all sorts of nutrients that are beneficial for sports nutrition. So, partnered up with some great folks in Vermont, the Cochran cousins and Andrew Gardner, and we did something that was easier said than done, which is put maple syrup in a packet.
I had a problem with doing too many carbs, and so I got into ketosis. I do ketones in the morning, before a ride with my coffee, and I really feel strong. I don't get that kind of weak bonk feeling. In the old days we used to always carb load and stuff. I cannot do that anymore. I don't know if my insulin receptors are all burnt out or whatever the story is, but I do much better in a protein adaptive metabolism, i.e. ketosis. So we were talking earlier, but when I do untapped products, maple syrup, I was like first hesitant because I go, this is pure sugar. I'm gonna get a sugar high and bonk, and but I didn't, and I'm still trying to figure out why that's so. And I think maybe I got your mind working in that direction to try to tell me why it isn't so. Especially with the one with the coffee on it, I don't get the jittery.
Right.
sensation. So why do you think that's happening to me?
So, combination of a few things, but I think at its simplest level is maple syrup is very simple. That this product here is one ingredient is maple syrup. Maple syrup is low glycemic. It is very unprocessed. The process of making maple syrup is you extract sap from a maple tree and boil it down. Boom. Then you have maple syrup. So 54 on a glycemic scale. It is technically low glycemic.
Which is amazing. You would never
Yeah.
guess it when you taste how sweet it is, right?
Sure.
You would never guess that.
And
That's
it's cool
awesome.
because the carbohydrate is sucrose, and sucrose breaks down in your system as glucose and fructose, so you have effectively this 2-lane highway of energy in your body. And then as for the coffee, while you don't get the jitters there, the coffee untapped is 2 ingredients. It's maple syrup and it's coffee. If you look at a traditional gel, it's a funky sugar with some funky flavors and caffeine as an added ingredient, and there's nothing really natural about it. So it is in its simplicity. It is the real caffeine from real coffee that I think won't cause you to have all sorts of funky reactions and jitters.
Yeah, I love the concept. I'm definitely sold. It. My experience has been really great.
Awesome.
I didn't get that sugar high at all, and it just went well with my ketosis thing. When I needed it, it was there, and I was very skeptical at the beginning, especially after I tasted. I'm like, oh, this is not going to work well, but it does. It's amazing.
It's delicious.
It is. I'm a proponent for sure, and
Appreciate it.
yeah, I wish you guys the best luck tomorrow. Laura, are you going to be pulling for him, or are you going to be riding, or?
Oh, I'm always riding.
All right.
Normally I would be hopefully competing for the podium, but I'm pregnant, so I'm going to be doing the 90 mile
Good for you guys.
and
It's a great success.
have adjusted my goals.
So a mere 90 mile with baby on board,
That's pretty
gunning
awesome.
for the tandem category.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Good to hear, man. Thanks for coming on to the Gretna Bill Show. Hope you guys all had a good time watching this. I certainly did. Great meeting you folks, and best of luck to both of you tomorrow and with your future life.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right. Peace out. Thanks, guys.